Hello YouTube, Tambrolo here once again. My project for this weekend is doing some electrical work on my car. I have some devices that I'd like to install, and like most other people, I don't like ugly cables running all over my dash. I already installed a GPS years back that's hardwired to the car, and as you can see, I don't have it plugged into the cigarette lighter right here. Instead, I bought a USB adapter, which works great there, and get that for about $5 on eBay. So what I did to get my GPS powered is I tapped into the lighter wiring, and I ran an extra cable under the dash that goes from here underneath, and you can see there where I placed a small hole and I ran the cable up to the GPS. But if you look in here, this is the extra compartment. If you pull that down, I have a hidden, I can see it in the dark here. Where is it? Yeah, it's kind of hard to see in there, but I have an extra cigarette lighter plug in there that I use to power my GPS. So this has worked great for about 1.5 years. But here's what's going on now. I bought a dash camera, and the dash camera is going to go behind the rear view mirror, so I'm going to be routing wires up that way. And in terms of wiring, I can't use the cigarette lighter connection because that connection is always on. For the GPS, that's fine because my GPS does a power down when the vehicle doesn't move for a few minutes. But the dash cam is always recording as long as it's getting power. So I need to find a way to make it so that the power gets turned on when the car is running, and when I turn the car off, the power gets cut. And I have figured out a simple way to do that. Okay, so whether you want to tap into power that's always on or only turns on when the car is running, it's all going to be done through your center console. So we're going to be opening up the console and exposing the wires. First thing you're going to want to do is turn your car to run so that you can access the shifter. Put the shifter all the way down to first, pull your emergency brake, and that way you'll have room to pull the console out. All you need to do is get something that's quite flat. A butter knife would work fine. I'm just going to use a regular old house key. This happens to be one from my mailbox. And if you just go around the side, you'll eventually find a spot right here where the key does fit in the slot. What you want to do is just gently give it a bit of a pull, work the key around, and this whole piece just pops right out. Simple as that. The whole thing is removed. So now I can feel the little plastic pieces in there releasing. Just be very gentle, especially when you're using something metal like a key. You don't want to gouge up your plastic. But that's it. Just give it a yank, and just like that, this all comes right out. Give it a bit of a pull, and there we go. So all the wires are now exposed, but we're actually going to be going to the wires behind the radio. So the next step is to get the radio out. I found that this piece gets out of the way much easier once you disconnect the lighter plug here. And the way to do it, I've already done it so it unplugs, but there's a little clip on the bottom. So if you just take your key and push it into the little hole here, this will unplug. Now that it's unplugged, this gets right out of the way. So it gives you plenty of room to work. I'll also point out that if you are looking for 12-volt power that's always on, this is as far as you need to go. So this is the plug for the cigarette lighter, and as you can see here, you can see where I've already spliced into it. So you can open up the wiring, get your soldering iron out, and tap in some new wires that you can see I've done. So this is the wire that's running to my my GPS right now. But I'm going to change that. I want it so that the power is on when the car is on, turns off when the car is off. So that's why we're now going to the radio. To remove the radio, there are 4 7mm screws, so you're going to need a 7mm socket, And there's one up here, one right there, and on the other side, one right there, and one down there. So once you have those 4 screws removed, this whole piece just slides right out. Looking at the back, you'll see that there's an antenna. That's the orange cable, and back here is your other cable. So that's going to be where the electrical is coming in. So I'm going to pull both of these cables out, and let's have a closer look at them. Thanks to Google, I was very quickly able to pull up some details about the plug in my Ford Focus. I've matched it up to what I was just looking at, and that is exactly my plug. So this is going to show me what cables I need to be accessing to get a voltage that's on only when the car is running, and also ground. So what I need is number 2, which is voltage ignition switch in accessory run, and I also need a ground, which is 13. So I need 2 and 13. So when looking at the plug, 2 is right there, 13 is right there. So I need the bottom right, and not the most top right, but the top right in this row. So 2 and 13. 13 is ground, 2 is voltage when the ignition is on. Now, if your plug looks exactly like this, you won't need to double check the voltage. You can if you want, but I will do it in this video just to save you some time so that you probably won't have to. So according to my diagram on Google, this big plug on the top is the 12 volt always on. The bottom one is the ground. So let's test that out here. If you turn this to the back, you can see that there are metal connections there, so you can check with a voltmeter. I'm going to put my positive in there, my negative in there, and sorry, I'm doing this one-handed, which is a little tricky, and yeah, we get the volts. So I'm going to just remove this for a sec. Nothing. I push down on them. There we go. 12 volts. Okay, so that's confirmed. Now what I want to do is check if, this is really hard one-handed, if this plug this plug right here, the top right small one, is the voltage on when the car is on. So I'm gonna again connect my ground. Sorry, this is really bad camera work, I apologize. Like all good Canadians do, we apologize way too much. It is true. Sorry, I'm just going to do really bad camera work for a second and get these thingies in place. Okay, there we go. So I should have that touching properly. The cable color, just so you know, is yellow. It is a yellow cable. Sorry, I just took it out again. This is not easy. Okay, so that should do it. I'm at 0. Now I'm just going to turn the ignition on in the car. I don't know how I'm going to do this, so I'm just going to put it down for a second. Sorry again. There we go. And now I'm getting voltage. So voltage is on, and that's when the car is on. Now I'm turning the car off, and it goes to 0. So that's confirmed. That confirms what we're going to be doing to power a dash cam, so that it only gets power when the car is on. We're going to be using the ground, which is, this is really hard one-handed, seriously. Ground is right there, and the cable to access is right there. It is a yellow cable with a green stripe. Alright, you now want to gently remove the coating on the wire to access the metal. be sure that you pull the fuse out. So go to the other side here. That's where the fuse panel is. Figure out which one to remove. So we're dealing with a ground wire and a voltage wire that should be off when the car is not turned on. So there's theoretically there's no live wires on right now, but play it safe. Always remove the fuse. You don't want to have an accidentally touch the wrong wire. Even if you did, you'd probably just pop the fuse, but just play it safe. Don't be foolish. You might hurt yourself, so pull out the fuse. So what I'm going to do now is, here's the ground wire, and I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife. That's all I use. If you have a wire stripper, great. I just use an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to remove a little piece here. So here's the finished product. I was able to just remove a little bit of the rubber coating from my voltage line, and this black cable with the green stripe is my ground line. So I have another cable that I've already sort of pulled through the dash here, and this is color coded, so the black one's going to be my ground, this is going to be my voltage, and now all I need to do is wire those up like so. Sorry, ground and voltage. It'll be this way. Ground and voltage, and then I will have a wire that I can run under my dash, and it's going to power my dash cam. I've now soldered in my my new cables that are going to run a dash cam. So there's the originals here, the black and green, which is ground, and this yellow green, which is the voltage. And you can see here I've got this red cable and black cable, which will carry the voltage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed it down and through the side. It's going to go underneath. Here's the cables right here. I'm going to put them over to this side, and I'm going to hook my dash cam and GPS under here. I'll jump right to the end and show you the finished product. So I took those new wires that I ran over to this side, and in here, if you can see, right there, I have a splitter that provides two separate cigarette lighter plugs. I just found something in there that I could zip tie these to, and it all tucks away. You can't see it. It's all hiding under here. So both of those, I have two things plugged in. One is my GPS, the other one is my new dash cam. And what I did in my Focus is I made a small hole in the side here, and I run the cables from there. So one cable goes to my GPS, the other cable goes up the side that you can't even really see, and comes out the top. Little wire there, and there's my dash cam hiding. So because they're wired up this way, as soon as I turn my car on, both of them come to life, and when I turn the car off, they both shut off. So I'll just turn this on. There we go. Okay, it's on. So that's coming to life. I don't know if you can tell on this camera, but it is. My GPS is on right now. I don't know if you can see the screen, but yeah, it really is on right now. Huh, that's weird. Just, I guess being so bright outside, it still looks dark, but this is on. And my GPS is on right now. It says acquiring signal, so they're both on. And they're on because my radio power is on. So as soon as I turn my key off, and the radio goes off, the GPS is now saying powering down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's going to turn off. And my dash cam is now saying goodbye, and it's now gone black. So there we go. I hooked up two separate devices. In total I have 3 cigarette lighter adapters now. I have one here with 2 USB ports, and I have 2 others hiding down here that are powering my GPS and my dash cam. They go on and off with the ignition. Tanbrolo signing out.